Shark bait, ooh ha
Shark bait,
ha.
boom. So here I am, Tony, playing Kaden the Grandmaster. Now, as streaming partners, we know each other's style very well. And he knows I play Joe Baba London. Okay, this is my trusty go-to. And during this time of this game, he knew that I've been kind of struggling against these B6 Queens Indian systems, and that's what he starts playing against me. And it was kind of frustrating because he knows what he's doing, and I don't, right? On the bright side, this turned into a very French-like structure. We start trading the pawns. We start trading the pieces, and we exchange on d4. Now, here he attacks my bishop, and from my understanding, because my central pawns are on dark squares, my bishop is probably just a big pawn. And so if he wants to take my bishop for his knight, I'm actually very happy with it. So I play bishop e2, saying, yeah, go ahead and take it. I'm not worried. I don't need the bishop pair here. My light square bishop is really the king in this position. And he plays a6. At the time, I'm going to tell you, I have no idea what he was doing. Maybe he's trying to stop knight b5. Oh, and here I freaking fumble, trying to recapture the knight, losing a bunch of time. This time could have cost me. He plays b5, and I know that he knows that I dislike queen trades, and he absolutely wants queen b6, stopping my queen from moving the activity, because there's some awesome ideas. f5 and g4 are the things I'm wanting to play. So I play f5, he plays queen b6, I get annoyed and trade the queens, and all I can really do is try to apply pressure in the center now. So I play the rook over to the center. I maybe would have played bishop g4 here, another interesting move. He plays king up, knowing that the king is actually better in the center now to protect the central pawns. He doesn't need to be on the side of the board. There's no queens. There's no danger, really. So I lift my rook, trying to keep that light square bishop basically pinned down. I mean, it's his worst piece, and I want to keep it worse. G4, I'm trying to just retain my pawn structure. He plays knight c4, and I absolutely cannot allow this guy to live. That guy is way too strong. I'm going to chop his head off right now. And he recaptures with the rook, which makes me decisions I can't take because I open up his bishop, right? So I bring the rook over so that if he takes my rook, I take back with the rook, and I keep the bishop pinned. He brings his rook over. I start bringing my king to the center. And this is where he sacks the exchange. And I'm like, he sacked the rook. Of course, the GM sacks a rook. I must be losing. I'm missing something. He probably saw something, and I'm just gonna have to try my hardest to hold. And so, absolutely, out of the two pawns I can save, I have to save the a pawn to stop the two queenside pawns from becoming dangerous passers. So I play rook d3. He takes the c pawn. I move the king, and I start to breathe for a second because I feel like it's kind of holding. I'm kind of holding. My rooks are very strong. They're holding everything. And as long as that bishop stays contained, I should be okay. And so I basically try to play moves that keep the status, right? Keeping the status quo and trying to keep up on his movement speed, because I cannot lose on time. I don't want to lose on time. This is a 5-0 game. There is no increment. You flag every day here against these GMs. I mean, they're just that good. So king f4, protect the weak e5 pawn, and hope to survive. And he's very clever. He basically starts what GMs do. They start this massaging process where I move things here and there, to the right, to the left, and wait for you to make a weakness by yourself, a slight inaccuracy. And so I try to do my absolute best to not give him any of that. Let me bring the rook back over here to the f file, so you can't check me. I'm just trying to hold, trying not to lose on time. And it's tough, man. These GMs, they give off this like intimidating aura. It's not my favorite. they're tough cookies. So rook f3, he starts thinking of a plan. I'm worried that he's gonna play like rook c5, and he doesn't. He plays a6, and honestly, I just think it's a pass back move. I don't think much of it, and so I'm like, shoot, well, what do I do now? I guess I gotta move a rook, maybe move my king, and so I just push a pawn. Like, all right, push the pawn. He attacks the pawn, I protect, I go back, and I'm happy to move back and forth as much as he wants because I know he will not draw the game. He will not take a repetition. He does not want to lose to someone like me. A 2000, no way. It's beneath him, and so he won't take a repetition, so I can leverage that. I can go back and forth. And so I do that often in this game. And here he plays g5, and I start to worry for a second because if I take in the wrong way, I can lose this game. You know, there is a version where I capture, I win that g5 pawn, but he wins my e pawn. And then his position starts to get free. So instead, I en passant, and I try to blockade the pawns on the dark squares, which is what's keeping my position alive. Blockading the dark squares so that his light square bishop continues to be a very weak piece. Luckily here he gave up the c file. I take it, and unknowingly, I can't do anything with it. He moves the king back, keeping my rook out. It doesn't have good entry squares, and if I leave this rank, my pawn becomes weak, that a pawn. So basically, if I can trade this pair of rooks, I should get an advantageous position. And so I'm just teasing this rook back and forth, back and forth. Protect my king from check. Now he knows that, okay, I'm going to put my king back so I don't enter into the f file with my rook. And again, just trying to go back and forth, keep up with the time. King f4. That I'm trying to improve something out of this position. Because would I take a draw? Absolutely, I would take a draw. We want to draw the GMs. We want to beat them too, but we want to draw them first. I'm starting to feel a little better. He's taking some time to think. He's got to find some kind of way of progressing, of pushing forward. And so I just move back and forth. King g3 he moves the bishop. It's not much I can do. For here, I'm thinking about rook 4 to f4 and seeing, well, if I enter the f file with my two rooks, I do let his bishop out. He can sack a pawn and let his bishop out. And is it worth it? I decide, no, I need to keep the status. I play king f4. Keep the status. I think it's my best hope. Something that he's commonly done to beat me in games online when we play together is that in these kind of situations, he gives me a way to progress, knowing that I will have to take time to beat his defense. And he almost always flags me in those moments, almost every time. And so I can tell he's trying to do that here. And he forces the issue here. b5. So this is not the best way forward for him, but he knows that this is going to change the status where I can't just move back and forth, keep it a draw. I'm going to have to do something, and this is where he can flag me. So here I absolutely think I can win a pawn. I take the rook, pawn takes, rook up, and I should be able to win a pawn, but I completely missed that his bishop can just protect it and hold. And so I do get flustered here for a second, not sure what to do, and I spend some valuable seconds here, even though it's quite simple. And so I lift the rook up. I want to get behind the pawns. I mean, that's what they teach you, right? And it's getting dangerously close on time. I mean, we're down to 30 seconds here. We're like a second apart. And this is basically all about speed now. I go back, again, doing that repetition thing, knowing he won't take a draw. And here, I'm like, Tony, move back, bro. You need your king to stop these pawns. Move your king back. And he continues to just move quickly. He's trying to make me prove something now, which is the dangerous part, because this is where people flag. And I go for it. I pick up the pawn from behind, and he's just moving quickly, trying to keep his side status now, and trying to flag me. And here's where we get in the absolute frenzy. We're moving. and going and going, and it's just bullet. It's just bullet here. We're just moving back and forth. And right here at the end, he gets me. He gets me right here. Oh, no way.
You never took the pawn.
And there you guys go. It's all over. But I did play better than him. My performance was better. But he won the battle.